All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are going to talk about the Giants. Interesting story that came out that they are potentially looking to sell a stake of their franchise, about 10%. So, whoever were to buy it, they're not going to take over the majority of the franchise. But what does this mean? And who could possibly buy it? Now, this might not mean anything in the immediate future, but maybe the Maras and the Tishes. You heard John Mara talking about how he's running out of patience. Maybe he's just like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done. I'm beginning to grow tired of, how this team has performed over the years. Maybe make it someone else's problem. And the Maras and the Tishes have had this franchise for years. This has been passed down. So it'd be interesting, to see how the future looks for the Giants. Like, could at some point they look to sell most of the majority of the franchise, and then they're the ones that are the minority owners. So 10%. Now, what's interesting is Eli Manning, a couple of years ago, talked about wanting to maybe own a team at some point. 10%. The Giants maybe be looking to sell. Who better than number 10, Eli Manning? Give him a stake of the franchise. I'd be fine with that. I think Giant fans would be fine with that. Giant fans would be fine if they gave him, an extra zero after that, 100%, because, people have had it. Because, like I said, John Mara has talked about running out of patience, right, in an earlier interview during the year. Giant fans already ran out of patience because of how the team has performed over the years. So, yeah, I mean, that would be great. If Eli was able to, get a stake in the franchise. But yeah, that's how I kind of look at it. Is that maybe it's like a slow transition to maybe just them flat out selling it at some point. But, that could be a little bit of an overreaction. But, yeah, and also I wanted to bring up, so I watched a 40-minute video on the Giants from 2017. Actually, no. Really like the last decade. Of just all the wrong decisions that have been made over the years and how we've gotten to this point. And it's just unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. The turning point of this franchise was the Giants letting go of Tom Coughlin and not letting go of Jerry Reese. Because Tom Coughlin was really upset over that. Because Jerry Reese was the man that gave Tom Coughlin the players. But Tom Coughlin ended up getting let go. And then the Giants got scared because the Eagles were looking to maybe hire Ben McAdoo. And they went and just promoted him to be the next head coach. Could you imagine if the Eagles ended up with Ben McAdoo instead? But at the same time, the Giants needed to make a change. It was time. It was time. But it would have made more sense had they just got rid of Tom Coughlin and Jerry Reese. They kept Jerry Reese and let go of Tom Coughlin. When, if you were to do that, if you were to get rid of one and keep the other, it should have been vice versa, honestly. But, yeah, it has been a long time since the Giants have really just had any kind of success. Well, I shouldn't say that because they did, a few years ago now with the playoff win over the Vikings. But the Vikings defense, you ready for this? 31st in pass defense. The Giants beat that. And then what happened when they went to Philly? They got destroyed. So, and here's the thing. The common denominator in all this has been John Mara. John Mara has made so many changes over the years, and they've all been the wrong moves. And a lot of times the Giants are hiring from within or bringing someone in that's familiar with the franchise. Like they brought back Dave Gettleman to run this thing, and it didn't work. It didn't work. He was there for Pat Shurmur, he was there for Joe Judge, and then, they finally went outside the organization and they brought in Joe Shane. And that led to Brian Dable being hired. And the first year, everything was great. But then these last 2 years, they've been disappointing. And the Giants are coming off of probably their worst season in franchise history. We talked about this last week. But this is probably their worst year ever. And I don't know if it's ever going to be topped. Because there was just not just on the field stuff, but off the field stuff. There was just so many things, so many variables to this season that, you could go back and look. What was worse than that? It was this year. It was 2024. In more ways than one. That's why, maybe Mara's had enough. So we'll see what ends up happening. But listen, I would be okay with them giving it to Eli. Because Eli also wants to contribute. In the evaluating process. Because the Giants, they got to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback. And Eli watches a ton of film. Actually, funny thing from the video that I watched with the Giants. So Dave Gettleman supposedly watched film. Not supposedly, but he did watch film on his Nintendo Wii. When have you heard of that? A GM watching film on a gaming console. Especially the Wii. I didn't even know that we had that capability. It's just, wow. That's just where the Giants are at. So yeah, I look, Eli wants to be a part of the Giants. So make him a part-time owner. 10% to number 10. Sign me up. Sign me up. It only makes sense. It only makes sense. And then, you slowly but surely give him more of the percentage. And, before you know it, then he's the owner of the Giants. That's how I look at it. I mean, again, we'll see what happens. This is just hypotheticals. But, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense. John Mara's running out of patience. But that's the thing. The other thing, too, is so if the Giants continue down this path and they continue to make the wrong decisions, so at some point is John Mara just going to be like, yeah, I'm selling the team. I'm done. I'm out. I can't do this. So it's like, all right, so, I mean, the fan base will be really happy if that happens. But it's just, so you're never going to turn this around, and then, you're finally going to have it and just sell the team? Again, all hypotheticals. All hypotheticals. But Giant fans just want to be successful again. That's all they want. They just want to be a good team again. And it just seems like it's lather, rinse, and repeat. It's the same thing over and over and over again. They just want to be good. Fans just want them to be good again. And not be a laughing stock. Now, next year, it's going to be another rough year because you got 3 playoff teams, essentially. And you're not one of them. You're going to be in last place. And then what is John Mara going to do? Is he going to fire Brian Dable and Joe Shane again because they play in a tough division? And then you got to go through the whole process again. Because he said he didn't want to go through it again. Well, might be doing it anyways. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But I just thought it was interesting that the Giants could possibly be looking to do that. And we'll see what comes about it. Do they offer it to Eli? We'll see. But let me know what you guys think about that. So that brings us to the end of our very first show on the GSMC Sports Podcast. I know I slipped up a little bit saying the football podcast, but it happens. It happens. We'll get used to it. I've been doing the football podcast for over a year, so obviously that's gonna happen. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Tomorrow, I haven't even gotten into what could potentially be discussed because we still got the NBA and the NHL are in their All-Star break. But baseball is back. We got spring training games coming up. We'll see if any trades around the NFL happens. The new league year is going to be upon us in a couple of weeks. So we'll get to free agency, and there'll definitely be an array of signings that we could go over, and obviously some NFL draft stuff. But yeah, no, we're gonna figure it out as we go along here. But again, hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Make sure to check out all the other shows as well on the network. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video as well. And as always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off from the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.